Hello, welcome to another Anyone Can Play Guitar video, number something or other. It's been a very long time, a lot has gone on, but I had this thought recently, a reflection, I guess, about my coming to the guitar and finding ways to be creative with it. So a very brief history. I joined the school band in 6th grade. I was playing percussion. They called it just percussion. I was thought of myself as a drummer. My dad had a drum set in the house and would play often, and so that's what I wanted to do. And got into middle school band and played percussion into high school, and then early high school, I guess 9th grade, I think there was a music theory course was an option. And by that point, I was getting really interested in a band called Ben Folds 5 and the piano, just in general. And just, I don't know, before I played any instrument, I would like write lyrics to imaginary songs. I didn't have melodies or anything. I just like had these songs that I wrote the lyrics for. So I was kind of from a young age writing songs, even though I didn't have any way to make melodies or anything until about high school. So throughout middle school, I was playing in a band, playing drums in the band, and there was a guitar player I played with. It was a trio, so it was a guitar player and me, and then another guitar player. He would kind of play bass sometimes, but it was really kind of like two guitars and drums, which is, I guess, interesting to think back on. But at the time, it seemed totally normal. Let me finish the brief history, and then I'll get back to that moment because that's the crucial part. So then, playing piano, learning music theory in school, and then taking piano lessons. So I was taking drum lessons and then taking piano lessons. And I think coming from a purely rhythmic discipline and then learning music theory and going into more melodic and harmonic territory, like rhythm never gave me trouble, which I think is something that does give a lot of musicians trouble in the early going because they study it alongside, trying to make chord shapes and trying to play melodies and all that kind of stuff, all of that happening at once. So I had the advantage of having kind of gotten the rhythm understanding out of the way. So when it came time to play rhythms on a piano and then later a guitar, it just made sense. So I'm thankful for that little bit of prerequisite education. So then it was piano, and then eventually I got into playing guitar. I think Coldplay was probably my introduction to the guitar, to like wanting to actually play the guitar. That and Radiohead. That first, so I was really big into piano. So that first Coldplay record had kind of like, in my memory, equal parts piano and guitar. So I was like attracted to it for songs like Trouble and Everything's Not Lost and stuff like that. It was really interesting to me because I was coming from piano at that point and could play those songs or could try to figure them out. But then there were also songs like Shiver and Spies and things like, or Parachutes even, tunes that like were very guitar oriented. And I really was like, well, I gotta learn these too because I love this band, I love this record, and so I wanted to be able to play all of that stuff. So that was kind of how I went from hearing my dad play drums to eventually playing the guitar. And then I just got hooked on the guitar. And I think it's a fascinating instrument. And it has a lot of advantages over the drums because you can play melodies and you can write songs and things like that. Though there are plenty of drummers that play other instruments and are songwriters unto themselves. But and then piano, of course, just like, it's easier to carry a guitar around than it is to carry a big keyboard or to move a piano. I still have a piano and have moved it several times, and it's nightmarish. But anyway, so back to 8th grade, I guess. I think it was 8th grade when I joined that band. Anyway, so here's the main reason why I'm making this video right now at the 5-minute mark. Here's the key. So I saw my friend play a C chord, which I think, even though I hadn't really started studying the guitar, I kind of understood what a C chord was. I don't know, cowboy chords, G, D, A, E, that kind of thing. All that stuff was I just sort of understood it, I guess, from watching them play it and from my own like early dabblings in the guitar. But he played a C major chord, which I think a lot of people know. It's one of the early chords that you learn. And then he did something that blew my ever-loving mind. He did this. He took a C chord and he moved the chord up 2 frets. That's it. And that blew my mind because I just hadn't considered it before. It was, again, early days of me like just being interested in theory and music more broadly, regardless of instrument. And just to see somebody do something that I recognized and then move it. It was such a simple move, and yet it made this beautiful sound. I'm not even sure off the top of my head I know what that chord is. It's a D, so we have a D and an F sharp and another D, and then we have a G, which would be the 11, and then we have an E, which would be a 9, so it's like a D 11, D major 11 chord with a 9 in it. But it doesn't matter, I guess, is what is important, is that this is C major and this is just C major moved up 2 frets, and it's beautiful, and that's all that really matters. So then immediately I thought, once I eventually got to playing guitar, that was something that was just kind of like in the back of my mind. I knew that was a possible thing. And that's kind of a unique thing to the guitar versus the piano, because the piano, there are shapes that you can move in that same kind of way, but because of the way the piano works, in a lot of cases, it really is just like this becomes this, or this. You know, the chords move actually like completely. So a C chord becomes a D chord, just like a normal D. Or a better example would be like an F becomes a G, rather than something I would say is more interesting because it has these other tones mixed into it. So then when I was getting into playing guitar, I thought, well, okay, I got an E chord. What if I move that up? That's cool. I don't even have to move it 2 frets. I can move it 1 fret. That's its own sound. Move it all kinds of ways. This is like... That's that sound, whatever you want to call that. Like some spots maybe hit your ear a little wrong. Maybe no, maybe yes. But then you move it up again and it's like, ooh, that's... What is that? I don't even know. I could figure it out. I understand enough music theory where I could figure it out. But the point is that it doesn't matter. It sounds beautiful. I realize I'm getting into kind of like things from where I learned from Barry Harris territory, where things are beautiful, but that's a powerful word, I think, when you're talking about art in any fashion, any medium, is when you're talking about something being beautiful, it's like the method takes a backseat to, does it sound good? Does it look good? Does it please you in some way? That is ultimately what I think should matter, and what, in my experience, does matter. So, that's pretty. That's maybe not so much. So then we have something like this, an E shape. Then here's where the next step of this process, the process that I followed. Again, it's not a prescribed thing. This is not something that was taught to me explicitly. It was just a curiosity, which is ultimately, I think, benefits any artist, whatever their medium happens to be. So a slight aside, I remember going years ago to see an art exhibit of paintings by Miro, and I remember going to this and just kind of being like, I don't know, unimpressed, I guess. Just kind of I was seeing these abstract paintings and they just weren't doing anything for me. A lot of them are very simplistic and they are very, very abstract. And it's, that's not everybody's bag. It's okay if that's not my thing, But I think I was approaching it with sort of the wrong perspective. Because I remember just trying to strike up conversation with a buddy of mine who was a great writer and poet in his own right, and woodworker and all kinds of great stuff. And I was telling him about like, hey, I went to this Miro exhibit and I just like, it didn't really do much for me. I kind of just like, I don't know. And he told me this thing that still sticks with me to this day, which is, paraphrasing, something about how and sometimes an artist is just being playful. So in this case, Miro has a canvas and has paints and is approaching this in a playful manner. I don't know what is going through his head, and it doesn't even matter. It's doing a circle here, doing a dash there, whatever, playing with different types of color, different brush strokes, whatever. That can be playfulness. I don't know if that's exactly what's going through Miro's head, but that was something that struck me as extremely important to how I view art in general, which is to say, things don't have to necessarily make sense. They don't have to look like things that you recognize. They can, they cannot, it's fine. I also think about the films of David Lynch, somebody who is oft discussed and that I respect greatly for the things that he's made, the films that he's made, but also the fact that he doesn't explain what he was doing or thinking in interviews. Like, it's hard to get him to say, here's what I was working on, here's what I was doing specifically. It's like, no, it's a piece of artwork and it is left up to interpretation. There will be people who find it repellent, like, okay, I don't like this. Okay, that's fine, There are people who find deep meaning in it, and some people who just find it enjoyable for its own sake, just like watching a movie and going, it's not gonna, make my top 10, but I enjoyed my 2 hours with it. The same goes for the painting and for music, I think, is bring this sense of curiosity and creativity to it. It doesn't have to mean anything. It can, and that's cool too. There are a lot of songwriters who can look at their work and tell you exactly what they were thinking, exactly where they were, and all this kind of stuff. I can in some cases, but a lot of my best tunes I listen back to with a sense of fascination sometimes, because removed sometimes months, years from recording it, I'll hear something new in it. And that is what makes making music or making art more broadly worthwhile to me. I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going to come out until I hear it. And then I'll stick with that and follow it kind of where it leads, And that's, I think, the essence of this. Still keep missing that. Just going like, what happens if I move it here? I think that's cool. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. I care that it sounds interesting to me, and that is opening these pathways to doing other things. I think I had a song years and years ago. I don't even remember exactly, but it was something to that effect of playing the same E shape. Something like that. I don't even remember the song. It doesn't matter. But that's a cool thing. Got this kind of droning E happening. Now, if I think music theory-wise, I can go, well, this is going to be some kind of B. This is based on this root note. This is an A. But that, it takes kind of a bit of the fun out of it. All right, so then the last thing is playing with what you discover. So, for example, going here, and if I move this down again, you may hear that and go, that's cool, that's exactly what I want. To my ear, that note sounds off. So move it. That's one thing I think Victor Wooten is most famous for pointing out, though plenty of people have, is you're never more than in this case, a fret, a half step away from something that sounds good. So move it up. What happens if you move it up? We get this. That's beautiful. I don't even know what that is, and I don't care. It's the same thing I was playing, the E shape, but instead of that note, I raised it up one fret. That's cool. I don't even think I've ever actually played that. Moving it down, you get that. Okay, now I've got this shape. It's like an E, but with the highest note that you're fretting drop down one. What if I move that around? Okay, maybe not there. There, that's beautiful. What about an A chord? Move it up a whole step, back down. Cool. So I think that's it. I wanted to, I hope, if anybody's feeling stuck or sort of directionless, or the way I often feel with my own playing is just stagnant. It's the same as stuck, but anyway, just feeling like, oh, I've already done what I know how to do. I've already tried the things, everything has to fit into some sort of box with music theory or whatever. All that stuff is valuable for certain things, but when it comes to just pure enjoyment of making noises with this instrument and following your ear, what sounds cool, or I don't know what's gonna sound cool, let me mess around with some stuff. I hope that you will do that. Explore this instrument because I have been playing it now for 20 years and I still have no idea what it's capable of, and that's something that is exciting. I'm never going to be done with this because I won't ever know all of what it's capable of in my lifetime. That's exciting. I'll never get tired of it, right? I'll never get bored of the possibilities that it provides. So do that. Play a chord, move it around. If it doesn't sound quite right, move one of the notes, move two of the notes, fiddle around with it, see what you come up with. I think you'll have a good time. And just remember to be playful. Approach the instrument with curiosity, and I think you'll have a really good time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again maybe soon, maybe in several years. Who knows? Bye-bye.